Hey guys, it's Kier. Welcome to today's beginner flow. Today, all you'll need is a mat. If you do have two blocks, they can be handy today. I will offer some options where you can use them, but it's totally optional, just might be helpful. Otherwise, when you're ready, we'll go ahead and start standing on the top of our mats. So taking a moment here to first look down, make sure you're standing about hips width distance. So that would be about the distance of two fists between your feet. When you get that, go ahead and close your eyes down and start to calm your breathing down a little bit. We'll take some nice deep inhales and exhales together. Exhaling to prepare and inhaling fully, expanding your lungs, pausing at the top, and exhaling, open mouth, big sigh. One more deep inhale, rising all the way, filling your lungs, filling your belly, pausing at the top, and exhaling completely. From here, start to be aware of your feet. Start to ground down through all four corners of your feet. Start to push your toes into the mat, especially your big toe, using that action to really drive your arch of your foot up, lifting it off the mat. And then spinning through your thighs, so engaging your glutes, engaging your quads. Start to spin your inner thighs inwards towards each other. Pull your lower core in just a touch. And rising your shoulders up towards your ears, rolling them back and then down your spine, releasing so your shoulders are over your hips. Letting your hands fall by your sides. Nice tall spine. A tiny, tiny tuck of your chin so that your back of your neck is nice and long. Feeling grounded and stable here. And take a moment to set your intention for today's class. And by that, I mean start to notice what your reasoning is for being here today. Why did you come onto your mat? Why did you decide to do yoga? It might be a simple reason, it might be complicated. But whatever it is, we'll try and revisit that throughout the class. In challenging poses, in frustrating times, or in the simple stuff, we'll come back to our intention. Trying to cultivate that throughout our entire class. When you're ready, inhaling your arms up and overhead, letting your palms touch, and then exhaling, pulling them down towards your chest, sealing your intention today. On your inhale, swing your arms back out wide and overhead again. This time pushing your hips forward a little bit and bringing your hands to reach towards the back of the room, pulling your chest through. Tiny back bend. And exhaling, folding all the way down towards the floor. Deep bend in your knees. Letting your head and neck hang down. Swaying back and forth, side to side. Maybe letting your opposite hand grab your opposite elbow. Shifting your weight back and forth between your feet. Gluing your abdomen onto your thighs. When you're ready, inhaling, rising along spine, fingertips towards your shins, looking a little bit forward. And then exhaling, folding all the way back down, planting your hands by your feet, and stepping back into plank pose. From here, we'll stay in plank for just a minute, so if this is challenging, go ahead and drop your knees. wherever you are, bend into your elbows a little bit, bringing them out towards the sides, and then scoop them back underneath you and push back straight. So that should bring the eyes of your elbows forwards. Start to engage through your core, engage through your legs, pulling your inner thighs in towards each other, turning on your glutes. You know what I mean. And from here, drop your knees. Drop your chest in between your hands and your chin. Sinking your hip bones down towards the floor. Push into your hands and the tops of your feet and rise your chest up. Keeping a little bend through your elbows, just a light Cobra Pose here. And exhaling, releasing down towards the mat. Retucking your toes, we'll come up into tabletop position. So bring your hands underneath your shoulders, knees under your hips. And we'll warm up our wrists a little bit. So starting to roll counterclockwise circles around your wrists, really pushing your fingertips in towards the floor. And then switching directions, going the other way. From here, plant all of your fingers firmly into the mat, and we'll move from the base knuckles, lifting just our palms off the floor. So starting with your right hand, lift your right palm up, keeping your fingers planted, and then release it back down. Lift it up and release. And you can make it easier by sitting back a little bit. You can make it more challenging by coming over your wrists a little bit more. But lifting and lowering at your own pace, just to warm things up. And then switching sides. So left fingertips grounded, maybe your thumb lifts when you lift your palm. But just feeling into your wrists, noticing if they're sore, if they're tight, if they're weak. Lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. And releasing it back down. Flip your palms so that your fingertips face towards the back of the mat. And start to lean back, lean your hips back towards your heels as you straighten through your forearms. Getting a nice forearm and wrist stretch here. You can pulse back and forth, or you can just stay still. And then re-spinning your hands back towards center. Walk them forward one step and rise back into plank pose. So reposition so that your plank pose feels normal and natural. And then from here, we'll bend our knees and lift our hips up and back towards downward facing dog. Keeping that nice deep bend in your knees. Come back to your hands. So nice firm engagement from your hands into the floor, and then bend your elbows out towards the side, winging them out and then shooting them back and pulling them through. If that cue made any sense, that's great. But it's the same action that we just took in our plank, to try and wing the eyes of our elbows towards the front of the room. That'll re-engage all the way through the triceps and the biceps, pulling strength from the hands to the shoulders. From there, re-engaging through your core, lifting your tailbone towards the sky, pushing through your hands, pulling through your feet. And then looking forward, bending into your knees, roll your spine forward into plank pose. Exhaling, bend your knees and lift your hips all the way back, downward facing dog. One more, deep bend in the knees, inhaling, rolling into plank. Exhale, bend the knees, downward facing dog. From here, drop your knees, untuck your toes, and go ahead and crawl your way back onto your knees. If this is uncomfortable, try bringing a block or anything underneath your butt just to elevate it off of your heels. And bring your arms up and overhead, interlacing your fingers. Lift your palms up towards the sky. And start to bring an arch in your back, so pulling your tailbone back behind you and your chest through in front of you. Arms towards the back of the room. And then rounding. So rounding forward, bringing your hands out in front of you. Tucking through your tailbone, chin towards your chest. Coming back through. Pulling your chest forward, finding cow, upright cow. And then rounding back down into upright cat. This time drop your left hand by your left hip. Bring your right arm up and overhead. Start to push into your left fingertips as you bring your right arm towards the left. So finding a nice side body stretch in your right side here. Just one more breath here. And then releasing right arm towards the floor. Left arm up and overhead. Nice side body stretch on the left. And release. Crawling back out. You can remove your block if it was with you. And then bringing your hands forward another step and rising up into downward facing dog. If you've got blocks, actually, go ahead and bring those under your hands. If you don't, you'll be fine. Same thing. Blocks just make it a little more accessible. So in your downward facing dog, go ahead and rise your right leg up towards the sky. Keep your right toes squared towards the mat. So re-squaring your hips, pushing evenly through both hands. Start to roll out through your right ankle, using your glute to lift your right leg just a little bit higher. Pull your lower core in. And then from here, bend your knee in towards your chest. And we're going to look forward and step our right foot through our hands. So basically step forward as much as you can. Then drop your back knee. And just use your hand to scoot your foot all the way between your hands. If you have blocks, it makes the movement a little easier. And from here, start to sink your hips towards the mat. So you can rise your hands onto your hips to square them towards the center of the room. And then sink down. So sinking your pelvis straight towards the floor and trying not to bring your right knee too far forwards. So most of this action is coming just from our hips. Opening through our left hip flexor. Sinking deeper into our right hip. And then replanting your hands. Rising off your back knee and then stepping forward into forward fold. From here, inhaling, halfway lift. And exhale, fold back down. Inhale, rise all the way up, tall spine, hands overhead. Exhale, fold all the way back down over your knees. From here, planting your hands, step your left foot back towards the back of the mat. Drop your back knee. Rising back up into that lunge, and then straightening through our front leg. We'll shift our hips back behind us, plant your hands by outside of your knee, and find a half split. So sinking your hips back towards your heel and pulling your nose towards your front toes. Nice long spine. Engaging through your core, keeping everything nice and tight here, but feeling a big stretch through the back of the right leg. One more inhale. On your exhale, bending back into your knee, plant your hands outside of your right foot, and then step back, downward facing dog. So you can keep the blocks under your hands throughout your downward dog and your pull forwards. It's up to you. Rise your left leg up towards the sky, keeping all 5 toes. I almost said 10, but there's only 5, so keeping all 5 toes facing towards the mat, and use your left glute to pull your left leg up just a little bit. Again, engaging through your core, pushing evenly through both hands and rolling out through your ankle. pull. From here, bending into your left leg, pull it in towards your chest. Look forward, step forward as best as you can. Drop your back knee and then scoot your left foot forward in between your hands. Rising up and sinking your hips down. So you can keep your back toes tucked or untucked here. It doesn't matter, whatever feels better to you. But trying to keep your core engaged as you sink your hips down towards the floor. Trying to sink them straight down. Trying to keep your knee over your ankle, your front knee, that is. Inhaling here. And on your exhale, drop your hands, lift off your back knee and step your back foot forwards, right by your left foot, into forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, long spine, gaze in front. Exhaling, folding back down, forward fold. This time inhaling, rising all the way up, hands swing out and overhead, palms touch at the top. And on your exhale, again, bending into your knees and folding all the way back down. Inhale, hands to shins, halfway lift. And exhale, fold forward. This time, stepping your right foot back towards the back of the mat. Re-grounding through your right knee, rising up, low lunge. And straighten through your front leg. Finding half splits, so fingertips outside of your left knee. You can keep your toes up, keep them planted, whatever works. Just focusing on that stretch in the back of the left leg, re-squaring your hips towards the front. Sinking your hips back towards your right heel. Nice long spine. One more inhale. And then exhale, coming back forward. Planting your hands and stepping back, downward facing dog. From downward dog, deep bend in your knees, look forward, roll forward into plank. Drop your knees, drop your chest and your chin, and then pulling forward, plant your hips, plant your feet, and push into your hands, Cobra Pose, chest through. On your exhale, lifting your hips back up, tuck your toes, rise your hips all the way into downward facing dog. From here, right leg rises, all 5 toes towards the mat, roll through your ankle. And then bend your knee in towards your chest and step forward, planting your back knee whenever you get there. And rising up into low lunge. This time, once you get your hips nice and low down, once you feel very stable, you can lift your arms up, keeping your palms parallel to each other, looking out in front of you. Not hiking your shoulders up too much, so nice long neck, relaxing your shoulders. And then bringing your hands back towards your hips. Rise up out of this so that you feel like you're kind of at a 90-degree angle here with your hip and your front leg. And we'll tuck our back toes. Push into both feet and rise up into a double bent leg lunge. So nice active stance here. Re-square your hips forward. And when you're ready, kicking your back leg straight, so kicking that left heel towards the back of the mat, trying to keep your hips squared forward, pulling your core up and out of your pelvis, shoulders over your hips. And then looking forward, plant your hands down by your foot and step forward, left foot by right. Rise, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way, arms overhead. Exhale, fold all the way down. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step your left foot back behind you, drop your back knee. Rise up again, low lunge, sinking your hips down, and then straightening through your front leg. Find half splits, whatever version of half splits you like. You can keep it dynamic, you can make it static. Just finding where your body wants to be today. And when you're ready, bending back into your front knee, plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog. When you get there, inhaling here, and exhale. Inhale, left leg rises, toes towards the floor, rolling through the ankle, pushing through the hands. And exhale, pulling your knee in towards your chest, looking forward, rolling forward, stepping forward. Drop your back knee, rising up into lunge, sinking your hips down. And when you feel nice and stable, you can rise your arms up again overhead. Keeping your gaze on one focus, so at one point in the room in front of you. And then bringing your hands back towards your hips, tucking your back toes, pushing into both feet, rising into this double bent leg lunge. Sinking deeper into that front leg, re-squaring your hips down towards the front of the room, pulling your tailbone down, and then pushing through your right heel, straightening through your right leg, turning on your right glute. Sinking deeper for just one more inhale. And exhale, put your hands right by your left foot and step forward, finding forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. And exhale, fold all the way back down. Planting your hands, step your right foot back towards the back of the room, drop your knee, and rise into low lunge. Exhaling, straightening through the front leg, and finding half splits. Taking nice slow breaths here. Feeling into the back of the leg. And then bending back into your knee. Plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog. Again, looking forward, bending through your knees, and then roll forward into plank pose. Drop your knees, drop your chest, drop your chin. And then pull forward, hips land, tops of the feet land, pressing into your hands, cobra. Exhale, pushing your hips back, tucking your toes, finding downward facing dog. We're going to add just one or two more elements here. So rise your right leg back up, all toes facing towards the mat, rolling through the ankle. This time maybe spinning your hip open towards the right. You can bend through your knee here. And try and look for your right toes underneath your left armpit. From here, re-square everything off, bend your right knee in towards your chest, and step it forward in between your hands. Drop your back knee and rise, low lunge, arms overhead right away this time, sinking nice and deep into your hips. And rising up and out of this, hands towards your hips, tuck your back toes, we're finding double bent leg lunge. From here, straightening through the back leg, kicking your left heel towards the back of the room, pulling your core up. And from here, we'll spin our back heel down. So spin it down into warrior two legs. Your back heel is about a 45-degree angle towards the front of the room. You can shift anything around that needs shifting so that you feel nice and stable here. But sink deep over your front toes, making sure your knee is following over your toes. You should be able to see your big toe. And then re-engage through that back leg, so spinning up through the thigh again. From here, rising your arms up, bringing your gaze over your front fingers. Sinking deeper for just one more breath. And then straightening through the front leg, hands towards your hips. Bring all 10 toes to face the left side of the mat. We'll find a forward fold here. So bending over your legs, allow your torso, allow your head to come towards the mat. You can find whatever feels good with your arms, so you can keep your arms straight. You can walk them out, finding a kind of downward dog position. You can grab onto your ankles, pulling your head towards the floor, whatever feels good here. Just one more inhaling here, exhaling, inhaling, starting to rise back up. As you rise, if you have your block, it can be helpful in this moment, otherwise it doesn't matter. Rise about so that your torso is about parallel with the mat. And then spin your heels in, toes out. And start to lift all the way up. So in a nice deep squat here, this is called Goddess Pose. You can bring your arms up overhead and then cactus them out towards the sides, pulling your elbows towards your hips. Sinking deeper into your Goddess Pose for just 3, 2, 1. And then rising back up, straightening out, spinning back towards the front and just stepping forward. Inhaling, arms up and overhead, and exhaling, folding back down. Planting your hands, step your left foot back towards the back of the mat, drop your back knee, rise up, low lunge, and sit back, half splits. One more inhale. And exhale, crawling back forwards and stepping back to downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg. You can open through your hip this time, bending through your knee and looking for your toes underneath your right armpit. Pushing firmly through both hands evenly. And then re-squaring everything back towards the floor. Bend into your left knee, bring it in towards your chest, look forward, roll forward, and step forward. Dropping your back knee and rising up to low lunge. Arms up and overhead all the way, sinking your hips down. And rising up and out of this, put your hands on your hips, tuck your back toes, rise, double bent leg lunge. Exhaling, straightening through the back heel, pulling your right heel towards the back of the room, re-pulling in your core, suck in those lower ribs. A little bit deeper into your left leg. And then spin your right ankle down, your right heel down. So you're in Warrior 2 stance here. Lifting your hands. Gaze over your front fingertips, sink a little deeper into your front leg. Ground down through your right big toe. Use that to pull the arch of your foot off the mat. Push down through the outer right foot. And then spin the inner thigh. So everything's nice and engaged through both legs. Sinking deeper through your left leg. And exhaling, rising, straightening, and bringing all 10 toes to face the right side of the mat. Folding forward into forward fold. Finding whatever variation you want on this side. Nice deep breaths. Coming back to your intention. Rising up out of this, walking your fingertips back. Find your torso about parallel. You can use your block. Spin your heels in, toes out. Nice wide base and rise up into Goddess Pose. I'm facing the other way so it feels weird, but Hopefully you're with me. Bending into your elbows, cactusing your arms, pulling your shoulder blades towards one another to really open through your chest. Sink deeper into your goddess pose. And rise all the way straight. Spinning back forward, stepping forwards. Arms up and overhead. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands. Step your right foot back. Drop your back knee and rise. Low lunge. Exhale, sinking back into half splits. Bending back into your left knee, stepping your hands forward, bringing your foot back into downward facing dog. Look forward, roll forward into plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, and pull forward into Cobra. This time as you push back, go ahead and find Child's Pose. So knees wide, toes together, hips sink towards your heels, bringing your chest in between your thighs, forehead to the mat. Taking a moment to decompress here. To bring some positivity into your mindset. To let go of any negative emotions you might have about anything right now. Coming back to your intention, coming back to your breath. Rising up and out of this to sit on our heels, we'll just spin down so that our butt's on the mat, spinning our feet out in front of us. From here, we'll find a diamond pose, so it's like butterfly. Knees wide, feet are touching one another. Bring your heels out just a little bit further in front of you. And then pull your chest down towards the floor, letting your head sink towards your feet. If you have a block or any other soft object, maybe you can put it on top of your feet. Let your forehead sit on top, or you can sink down, let your head hang, whatever feels nice here. Just winding down. Coming back to a quiet space. Coming back to our breath. Noticing the inhales and the exhales. Not changing them. Just noticing them. Rising up and out of this, we'll find a seated twist. So bring your left knee bent so that your knee is facing towards the front of the mat. Left foot is over by your right hip. Cross your right leg over top, so your right foot is by your right, or it's by your left knee, sorry. Plant your right hand behind you and lift your left arm up. Spinning towards the right, hook your elbow, your left elbow, over your right knee and use that as leverage to spin open just a little bit more. Nice deep inhale here. On your exhale, spin back the other way, counter twist. So bringing your fingertips out towards the left and start to roll over and down, releasing that twist. And then just switching our legs. So this time, right knee faces forward, left foot outside of the right knee. Left fingertips behind you, rise your right arm up, nice and tall. Bending through your elbow, hook it outside of your left knee. and twist. Looking back behind you, opening your chest towards the left. Releasing all of that towards the right, counter twist, the opposite way, rounding down. And then rolling back up, extending your legs out in front of you, keeping a little bend in them. Grab behind your knees and use that to let yourself pull down, so rolling down towards the floor. Letting one vertebrae fall at a time until your head and neck comes last. Extending your legs out in front of you. From here, pull your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Rolling side to side. And we'll find happy baby pose. If you want anything else to close off your practice, go ahead and do that. If you're with me, grab the outside of your feet with your hands and try and lift your feet up towards the ceiling, pulling your knees towards your elbows. Towards your armpits. Rolling back and forth, side to side here. This is a pose that probably feels more comfortable to do at home alone rather than in a room full of people. But it can be really nice for releasing the lower back. So trying to ground your lower back towards the floor. When you're ready, go ahead and just release your legs. Again, pulling them in for one more big hug. And then exhaling, releasing all the way down, straightening your legs out in front of you. Rolling your shoulder blades underneath your back, letting your palms face up, hands by your hips. Taking a nice deep inhale, filling up the lungs. And exhale completely, sinking down into the floor. Taking this moment to scan up and down your body. Notice any areas that might feel tense. Releasing your brow, your forehead, your jaw. Sinking down through your shoulders, through your hips, down your legs to your knees, releasing through the ankles, through the toes, through the fingers. Feeling completely at peace here. Knowing there's nowhere else you need to be right now except in the moment. Can stay here for as long as you'd like. As always, it's such an honor to teach for all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.